of the same subject. 20th Contemplation. In your passion there are three manners or three things, my love and my life, to know: the work, the manner, and the cause. The work, which is your sorrow, your blood poured out, and your wounds, is for men who have only the senses, and who are enraptured only by what they see as touching their senses most vividly, so that they have compassion on you the moment that one represents to them by vivid expressions your sorrows and all that follows them. And it happens too that those who begin to go to you are excited and animated by you purely for that, I mean by the works of your sorrowful passion only. The other subject is the manner in which and by which you endure, namely your heroic virtues, all admirably resplendent in all this infinite work and negotiation of yours, as are profound humility, profound patience, profound silence, profound poverty and abjection of yourself, all these continually, very heroically practiced by the entire consummation of yourself by the ignominious death of the cross. This second manner is more advantageous and more excellent than the first because there is produced in the appetite virtues within the virtues themselves, whether already acquired or to be acquired. In this way, for that, it is necessary to have been touched by your spirit within according to something of its irradiations. Although well understood, it would only be a pure entrance, not so much into you and your infinite spirit as into that which appeared outside of you, in the universal work of our redemption, as well as to the excellent means of exercising and consummating it, of which we will speak no more nor otherwise. The third manner, which contains the two others eminently, is the cause, which is your love in yourself and yourself in your love, in the infinity of which are contained and rendered excellent, infinitely above all sight and consideration, work and the manner of our redemption. In this way, whoever does not envisage you in this piteous spectacle except in the effect and truth of your very excellent work, will never be reformed nor repaired from his evils in this life of his soul, as long as he has nothing of your virtues and is not at all elevated to you. So this is to be unhappy in the death of the spirit, according to the perfection of this spirit by your grace, to stagnate thus, languishing within the senses on the only work proceeding from you for our infinite redemption. But he who sees you operate in your infinite abysses, in the cause and in the manner, but especially in the cause, that he sees in you to be a fire very devouring and very active, very visceral, loving and merciful, that one is greatly advanced and excellent in your perfection, since it is your love alone in himself that he contemplates, that he admires, that he breathes in itself and for itself incessantly, given that it is the sea and the source of the infinite excellence of our redemption, within which every man must lose himself by compassion, softening, and total liquefaction of his whole self within its immense fire. So, by lively imitation of you in this very noble aspect and state, one advances more and more one's perfection and constitution, in all sorts of excellent habits, in the interior of your highest and deepest abodes of pleasure and delights. So those who exercise themselves clearly, as they say, do well and are good in some manner, as are those who remain outside in the active life alone as such, but those who exercise themselves on the subject and from you and in you, by fervent love at the sight of your love, and based on all that it produces outside as very worthy effects conform to its infinite cause, are excellent and proper to the contemplative live, if in your same love they are truly faithful to hating themselves and loving you, vilifying themselves and reducing themselves to nothing in their own sight and that of all others. Now, such persons are already more animated by you and in you, whom they love alone for love of yourself than by love from themselves and for themselves. The faithful practice of this, better and better exercised by the favor of your divine love, increases and augments in you and in their perfection always better and better, so that in what they see and perceive in you and in them in their misery and their nothingness, they know not what to do nor what to think to be able to respond to you by love and in love, in view of the infinite change and mutation that they perceive in them in your all, in the measure of your divine splendors, which draw them, dilate them luminously and delightfully in you, whom they see in elevation and way of spirit very excellently above all concept and comprehension of the senses. In this way, by loving plunges such persons' breath only your loving passion, enamored of you as they are more or less ardently, so as to relieve you lovingly of pains to the infinite degree. So what does not touch them at all from you at the depth of yourself, before they love you ardently, this they crave with ardent love so as to imitate you and to represent you vividly in the totality of their life. It is your very sorrowful and loving passion of which they ardently desire to be able to drink, at the very least some little bit however, in the measure of their humble and fervent love, according to which you vivify them in you, incorporating them into you in spirit to love by your excellent and divine life, according to some imitation of your life. That life will be perfected by the attractive flow of your divine spirit more and more in them, until they are entirely dead to themselves and to all created things, by the diverse operations of your flow. This flow is performing operations conformed to and similar to itself in the creature upon which it gushes out. The same creature shows in all senses and manners, inside and out, this loving flow of yours and its effect. This effect is found to belong more to some than to others in whom it is shown, and is seen to be more alive and more ardent in its successive touches. In this way the contrariety of its action, in some as well as in others, is innumerable. Of this the mystics say something universally and as they can, but they would not know how to tell all the particularities of its operations, which are infinite in number and manner. So, from the time that someone is ready for love, love will back him up always infallibly, making and rendering him enamored with love itself in itself by its lively and efficacious penetrations, with which the soul feels itself to be penetrated and exceeded totally, and totally renewed in its life, being, and constitution, filled as it is with enkindled delights, in the immensity of this ardor which penetrates it always more and more, until it is reduced, melted, and consumed. And then your passion, my love, and my life, animates the soul and agitates it inwardly, simple, wide, deep in the soul that sees it and contemplates rather an enjoyment of very internal, very intense, and very ardent love, and not outside within the effort of the senses nor by the purely natural effort employed in researching the diverse circumstances of your pains and in inciting in the soul diverse affections, which is wont to happen in all those who are not superelevated by you and in you. By your loving flow, overflowing altogether extraordinarily outside of its common action, which is diverse and multiple as I have always told you, my love and my life. In this way it is in your love that such a soul melts and plunges more and more as in the place of its own good repose, and its unique center, where the secrets, which by simple intellectual visions are represented to it there by your infinite majesty, are completely inconceivable and ineffable, of which they cannot express anything at all a great deal of the time. So it is that, in order to be comprehended and to make itself understood about the effects of such inundations and penetrations of fruitful love, so elevated and so excellent, it is necessary that they should have been consumed by this love and through it by the totality of you, in the same space of time. So, just as new wine is not very drinkable, since it is not boiled in its vessel, in the same way your so excellent love, at the time of its new inebriation with which it inebriates its lover, cannot be discerned according to the excellence and goodness of your lover, until she has surpassed its first effect, at the end of which, being rendered stronger and more vigorous, she is made and rendered more apt at the judgment and discernment of your loving spirit. The love of this spirit, no longer operating newly and strongly in the senses, operates by a wholly other more excellent and more hidden manner in strength, spirit, reason, intelligence, and experience. And in this sense, your love and your lover in your same love perform much more noble and more excellent operations than the preceding ones. And although the potion of love is by now not so sweet and delectable to your brides, still it is another food altogether, producing in the bride strength and vigor in the totality of her life, inside as well as outside, fully conform to yours. And even taking this almost to those who alone are profiting in this your divine loving game, in them is the beginning of all abundance and plenitude, and of sovereign perfection and height. At this the soul, which is up to this point already so perfectly changed into this love as it is, can no longer want to go forth outside to extroversion in a manner of speaking, but is more and more constrained by the same love to advance by path and course to the totality of its depth. To this the fidelity of the lover and his lover respond more and more. The lover finds herself to have arrived finally from times and diverse vicissitudes to the supreme depth of the same love, in which she is totally cast away, where there is naught but breadth, height, unity, simplicity, and eternity. But what happens on the part of the operations of God and his brides for that cannot come close to being sufficiently conceived, much less expressed, except from afar and by distant and unsuitable demonstrations. If it is, my love, your loving passion which was the sustenance and the occupation of your bride at the beginning and at the middle of this negotiation in her own cause, which you are, without a doubt it is still necessary to say and believe that it remains so at the end, which, seen and apprehended in simple and enjoyable contemplation, will never end, but will be perfected, adorned, and accomplished always more and more, to the point of her entire consummation by such a life and fruition, in all the infinite plenitude and ardor of yourself. So you love in us, by the ineffable operation of its simple and ineffable flow, changes and converts your love, which it makes and pours into us, producing love in us toward you and with respect to you, in your own infinite love alone, to the totality of yourself. Having attained this, we act, we apprehend and penetrate, and we move ourselves outside above reason, discernment, and discretion, by true, simple flow of spirit, the simple light and vision of which makes us penetrate all, see all, and anticipate all in a very simple and very penetrating glance of spirit, both that which acts for us as well as that which is for others, with whom we must trouble ourselves. So, my love and my life, it is to your very loving passion that we owe not only the good of our common redemption, but of your sovereignly perfective love, for the enjoyment of our same eternal redemption excellently. In this way, one who loves you more genuinely will more genuinely partake of this redemption. But, my love and my life, since your passion is wrought and happens in you in infinite sorrows, miseries, scorn, confusions, dishonors, shame, opprobrium, after which you died and expired upon a cross, exposed to opprobrium in the sight of all, also of us, is not necessary that we should be so attentive to contemplating inwardly the excellence of your infinite love, equal to yourself, that we should go out from their outside so as continually to imitate you in your sorrows, according to the totality of your corporal life, as the continual sight of your very painful and very laborious life. It is that which it is necessary for us to apprehend, within as well as without, according to our aptitude, or to say it better, according to the very prompt and very light act of our super-excellent habits in our simple, profound, and lost constitution, so that, by similar anticipation, we might envisage and anticipate with a very simple and intense gaze all that is outside, of which we have need, which suits us and concerns us, within our depth, as a single unique thing, which is to say all, to see all, to penetrate all, and to understand all. And then, the creature is consummated in perfection, luster, and supreme adornment of spirit, which contains comprehensively in itself eminently, even supereminently, all possible explicitness of that itself. Now one ought not think that we are elevating with too much excellence this admirable and infinite subject of your passion, which or by which your majesty is pouring into us the principles and their lights producing love. And then after these same lights and his same love and same flow and same effect containing same gift, same luster in us and for us, in its very noble successive operations. So, I say, in that, and thus, we are made and rendered love by love, in all the same love which you are, my love and my life, so that we can hardly ever see, apprehend, do, conceive, or speak of anything else, even though these things belong to you, except love. For although it may be true that we are not always all filled and overflowing with your love on a sensory level, and that, according to the good of its excellence, its glory, and of our own good, this love operates so diversely in us, it is all one. It does not delight and enrapture us any less by itself and in itself in the enjoyment that we have from it, more internal and more secret, and thus more spiritual, more abstract, more naked and more simple, above all perceptible, effect and effort in us. In this way, since love is then purified in us and we in it, in the ardent furnace of its divine fire and flow, we apprehend also according to such eminence of simple constitution, according to which we are placed and fixed at the core and superessential essence of your infinite majesty. It is, I say, there where we see, penetrate, draw, and reduce all things in one, as a single thing in the totality of you and of us, as I already told you, my love and my life. Now it cannot be done, my dear life, that one whom you have elevated to your loving furnace should not be straightway consumed and lost in all of this. Sometimes feeling himself to be, it seems to him, distanced from this, he hoists himself up again and throws himself vivaciously and wildly back into the ardor of his active love, during which he exhausts and consumes his present forces, according to which and in which he plunges himself more and more inside, until, forgetful of all things and of himself, he is so much enraptured and dominated by love to the totality of this same love, that he no longer perceives anything except this love in all its eternity. Behold what it is, my love and my life, to be enamored of you by your passion and of your passion in yourself.